Hello everyone, in this video I will present you this TIDRADIO TD-H3 that TIDRADIO Corporation has sent me for unboxing and review. I received this box in the mail this week, so let's open up and let's see what is inside. So as soon as we open the box, we can see the manual. This manual, it says GMRS radio. I seen videos, the manual, it says ham radio. So we'll see how we can change the modes on this radio later. So we put this on the side. We have this lanyard for the radio. We have also the mandatory belt clip. We have the antenna. In this case, it seems this is the shorter, cheaper model of the antenna. We have here 5-volt charger and USB cable. And of course, in here we have the radio itself that we're going to be analyzing and reviewing today. There are a couple of things that I would like to show you and I would like to cover before we move into the next part. So the first thing is the antenna that I received. As you can see, this was branded as the GMRS model. So the antenna that came with the radio is the UHF 400 to 470 megahertz that corresponds to the GMRS frequencies. So if you plan to use this like a VHF, and if you get this antenna, you have to pay attention and maybe get a replacement with one that is dual band or triple band. The other thing I would like to cover is charger. The charger is a 5 volts, 2 amps charger, and it has the USB-A connector on one side. And lastly, the manual. The manual is thick compared to the typical Chinese manuals. It has a lot of information. It's very well presented. It's also in color. So let me go back to a page that shows pictures, and it has color pictures of the screen. So it's probably one of the best manuals that I've seen in these Chinese radios. So now, before anything else, the battery started getting discharged, let's do some power test and let's get that out of the way. So I'm connected here, my power meter and the radio together with a dummy load. So now this radio has 2 PTT buttons. So the first BFO I'm going to press now is set up in VHF. You can see 146 megahertz, and we can see a power of almost 5 watts. Is varying, but it's almost 5 watts. The power of the radio, it goes up to 4.91. So now I'm gonna press the secondary PTT where I have a frequency of 435 megahertz in UHF. And this is very, very surprising. It has more power in UHF than VHF. I'm not sure because this was branded as a GMRS radio, but this is a very nice surprise. As you can see, it has 6 watts in UHF. One more power test now in 460 megahertz, which is the range of the GMRS frequencies. So if I press here, the power, we can see the radio is putting 5 watts. I started with 5 watts exactly in that frequency. Let's try one more time. Yeah, it's putting close to 5 watts, 4.94 watts on the GMRS frequencies. So now, before jumping back into the radio, let's take a quick look at the price and some of the specs. So this is the flyer that TIDRADIO sent me via email. You can see the radio, it has Type-C programming on the side port. It has Type-C charging at the bottom port of the battery. It has an 8-band receiving dual PTT button, which I showed earlier the functionality when we were testing the power. It has 3 modes, ham, GMRS, and normal, and I will show you when we go back to the radio how you can switch that. It has this wireless frequency copy. That means that you can clone 2 radios programming using wireless, using nothing more than the radios themselves. Another functionality that it has, you can remote lock the radio in case that your radio gets stolen and is within the range of the receiving. You can transmit a DTMF code and lock the radio. It has support for the weather channels. And of course, TIDRADIO is providing firmware updates. So it has 5 watts as we tested in both VHF and UHF. It has a battery capacity of 2500 milliamp hours. And it has a color screen of 1.44 inches. You can see here all the receiving bands for the radio, FM 50 to 76, 76 to 108 megahertz. It has airband, so it receives from 108 to 136 megahertz in AM. That is the airband. It has 3 ranges in VHF and 2 ranges in UHF, covering ham bands and covering the GMRS bands. And of course, this radio can be programmed in multiple ways. Bluetooth, USB-C port, as you can see here. It can also support Kenwood port, which is the microphone and the speaker connector. All right, now let's jump into the pricing options for this radio. So we have first on the TIDRADIO website, we have their selling price is right now $28.99 USD dollars. And in Amazon, also TIDRADIO is selling a pack of 2 of these radios for $80 with a bunch of extras, as you can see, the antennas and extra antennas and all that. 3 different colors: black, which is the one they sent to me; crystal, which is this transparent type of case; and green. Now, continuing with the review, we do analysis of the exterior of the radio. So starting from the top, the radio has in the top the typical antenna connector that we can find on all the Chinese radios, the SMA male connector, the LED or flashlight, we can see here. And beside that, in each side, it has 2 status LEDs, one for each BFO. So this is BFO-A, this is BFO-B. When the radio is receiving or transmitting, those go greens or red according to the BFO that you are using. And this is the to turn on and the volume knob. On the left side of the radio, we have 3 buttons. The first is the main PTT or the BFO-A PTT. The second one is the BFO-B or the secondary PTT. And the third button is programmed from factory to turn on the flashlight, but you can change that in the programming, the functionality. So for example, in my case, I programmed the button to do the weather channels and to do the monitoring or to open the squelch in reverse. Going into the right side of the radio, we have in this compartment the USB-C connection for programming and the Kenwood connector that can be used for speakers and microphone and also can be used for programming. Now, moving into the bottom of the radio, we have the USB connector for the USB-C connector for charging the battery, and the battery has a status LED that is showing red when it's charging or green when it's already charged. Now, taking the battery out from here, we can see radio label and we can see the model, the voltage of operation, the FCC ID, and of course the serial number of this particular radio. On the other side, on the battery side, we can see the information of the battery is 7.4 volts DC battery, and with a capacity of 2500 milliamp hours, or that is the equivalent of 18.5 watts hour. All right, now let's talk on how we can switch between the different modes that you can set up this radio. You can set up this radio in GMRS, ham radio, or a normal modes, and I will show you how to do that. Before you turn the radio, you have to press the PTT and the start button, and when you do that, you turn on the radio, and after you do that, you will be presented with a menu that it looks like this, and it shows you with three options. So you can see here, those are the three options: ham, GMRS, and normal. Once you press 1, 2, or 3 to select the mode that you want to use your radio, the radio will reset to the default factory settings. So you will lose all your memories, you will lose all your settings. So it is very important before you switch the mode that you make a copy of your configuration. Let's explain a little bit what is doing in each one of these modes. In ham radio mode, it will transmit in VHF and UHF on the ham radio bands and ranges. On the mode 2, GMRS, it will transmit only on the GMRS channels. And in mode 3, it will transmit in ham radio and GMRS. So mode 3 includes the transmission and our unlocking the radio completely. Now let's start talking about the screen of the radio. As I mentioned earlier, it has a color screen. On the top of the screen, you can see a bar that shows a line from 0 to 5 that says power. This shows only the transmission power when you press the PTT button. Below, you have a little icon of an antenna. That icon, it will show the signal strength of the signal received. H means that the radio is in high power. W means that the radio is in wide mode. It could be wide or narrow. In the middle part of the screen, you will see the main VFO frequency. And in here, you can see the two settings that the VFO has. So I have 146 megahertz in the VFO A, and I have 460 megahertz in the VFO B. One very, very good functionality of this radio is this radio, unless many other ones, it can show you in the screen, it can show the frequency, the channel, and the name of the channel at the same time. So for example, I switch to memory mode, and you can see I see the frequency in the middle here. I can see the channel in below the frequency, and I can see the name of the frequency in this part of the screen. This is the only radio I have that I can see these three values at the same time, and this is a very good functionality. In this section, now we're going to review what are the menu options that we have available to us. So to enter into menu mode, I'm going to press the blue button here. And the first option is the option number 0. And the last option, if I press down, is the option 56. So there are for us 56 options that we can set in this radio. I will go very quickly to those. We have bandwidth, it could be wide or narrow. We have squelch, default value is 5. I put it into 2. We have the TX power, could be high. Let me see, if I press the menu, the blue button again, and I go into the option, it has low or high. Those are the only two options. So option number 3 is the power save, different settings to save the battery. Option number 4 is the step, when we are changing frequencies manually. what is the step that is going to be changing, or when we use the scanning. The backlight is the screen illumination, which I have it in continuous because, of course, I do in this demo, I don't want the screen to turn off. Beep on, box level, TOT 60 seconds, and so on and so forth. All the typical options that you will find on all the radio. So it has a voice option, which I have turned it off. That is good for blind people or people that has challenge to see the screen. We have also, when we want to transmit, what BFO we want to transmit. So this radio can scan for CT, CSS codes, and also, as you can see here, and also it can scan for DCS codes, as you can see here, in case that you don't know. The brightness, so I set up to 3. Important thing, we can see the version here of the firmware on the radio. In case that we want to upgrade, we want to make sure we check our original value first before we do the upgrade of the firmware. Another interesting functionality is the mic gain, which is not common on these radios. So this is a nice to have option. You can turn on and off the receiving of the airband, and you can turn on and off the transmission of 52 to 200, 350, and 500 megahertz. All those are all the menu options. Now, in this part of the video, I wanted to show you something really cool of the general functionality of this radio, which is the ability to pair via Bluetooth with your phone. So I already have installed the app that comes to program this radio, and I'm gonna press the blue button and leave it pressed until the Bluetooth is illuminated on the display, as you can see there on the screen. And now in the phone, I'm gonna pair with device. Immediately you can see it founds the device. I'm gonna click here, and now it's gonna connect to the radio. So now I'm connected to the radio. I'm gonna select the model in here. I'm gonna select the TIDRADIO and then the TD-H3. That is the option that I'm gonna select. And now I'm gonna read from the radio. And you can see here on the display of the radio is showing that it's reading and the percentage of the progress. And on also the display on my phone, you can see that it's reading the data directly from the radio. Then once the data is read, you can go here and add channels, remove channels, modify the settings of the channels, and at the end, you can hit the right button, and that will push the programming back into the radio. This is a very, very cool functionality for a cheap radio like this one. I'm not going to spend any more time on the programming of the radio because I will dedicate an entire video of the different ways that you can program this radio. What I would like to do instead is I would like to continue showing the general functionality of the radio. So if I press the blue button again and I keep it pressed, the Bluetooth is turned off. I want to turn it off for now. And one thing that I wanted to show is how I can change between BFO and memory mode. This is with the orange button here. So I'm going to press that, and you will see is switch to channel mode. And if I press one more time, it goes back to BFO. It's the same thing. If I press this button here that has the hash sign, if I press that, it changes the BFOs, and I can put this BFO in channel mode. I press one more time, I can see the channel number, and if I press one more time, I go back into VFO mode. And I will go back to my frequency on the BFO-A. And one thing that I want to show you now is how the different PTT buttons work. So first I'm going to press the main PTT. And you can see the top LED is red and it's showing that it's transmitting a BFO-A. If I release and I press the secondary PTT, which is below, you will see the radio is transmitting now in 460 megahertz, and you can see the second LED in red. And this is how you can transmit in any of the two VFOs at any given time without the need of switching the active VFO. This is because also this radio has a dual watch, so you can listen to both VFOs at the same time, and you can transmit in any of the two VFOs without having to switch them. And one more thing I wanted to show is the small button here, which is you can program the function. In my case, I program the functionality for a short press to switch to the weather channels. If I press again, it go back to the previous mode. And if I long press the button, it will open the squelch. So that is how I like that button to work. And I was able to change that on the programming of the radio. Now, continuing with the programming options, I wanted to show that this radio, it has on the side, it has these two connectors. One is an USB-C connector, and the other one is a Kenwood connector, and both can be used to program this radio. So this radio can be programmed with the software provided by TIDRADIO. This radio can be programmed via Bluetooth with the application I showed earlier on the phone. And also this radio supports the programming with Chirp. And for all these programming options, I will create a separate video later on. Now, to finalize this video, some conclusions that I have on this radio that I want to share with you. So the first one is the radio is very small and it fits very nice on the hand, but at the same time the keyboard is small, and I believe if you try to use this keyboard with gloves, for example, it's going to be a very challenging operation, since the buttons are really small ones. Other than that, the radio seems to be solid. The plastic is the same type of plastic of all these Chinese radios. The extra information that you have in display that is not normal on other radios of the similar class, it makes it a very interesting option. The same thing for the dual LEDs on the top, so you can clearly see what VFO is active on what VFO are you transmitting on. So that is pretty interesting. And on top of that, it has a lot of receiving options. So I would say it's a very nice starting radio for somebody starting on the hobby, or for somebody that they just want to use it for GMRS. So I hope you like the video. And like always, if you enjoy it, then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe, so you can get informed and the next time I release a video. Thank you for watching, and until the next time.